Greetings all. I am back with another video for my tool viewers. In this video, I will demonstrate how you can query a DataVerse table from your desktop or server using PowerShell. This can be expounded upon to update or insert records, but in this video, I will show you how to query the table and pull an exact row of data from your DataVerse table. This can be integrated with Power Automate desktop flow so that you can query a DataVerse table from your desktop. All right, let's get to it. The first thing we will need to do is gather up some information. We need our tenant ID, a client ID, we need to generate a secret, and we need our environment URL. I'll go over how to get these values quickly. Once you log into the portal, your home page will look something like this. Click App Registrations, and from here, create a new registration. Give it a name, and I am selecting single tenant. Hit register. Once that completes, you want to make note of the application or client ID and the directory or tenant ID. We will need these values later. Then expand, manage, and click on certificates and secrets. From there, create a new client secret. Give it a name. I'll call mine PowerShell Access. And set an expiration date. There are some predefined values, or you can set a custom value. I will go ahead with the recommended 6 months period and click add. Now, the value, you want to copy this and save it somewhere right away, as you won't be able to see it again later. And this is the value we need. Okay, so verify we have that. Our client ID and our tenant ID copied and saved. Okay, great. We also need our environment URL, and we get that from our Power Platform Admin Center. So go to the website and log in there. Once in, click on Environments on the left side of the screen. Click inside the environment, and the first entry under the Details section will be our environment URL. We will need to copy this and place this somewhere. Okay, we should be good to go now. Now let's look at our DataVerse table. I will be querying the default accounts table. This is how it looks. We will need to get the name of the account table, and keep in mind it is case sensitive. So you will want to grab the table name this way. Now sometimes the name listed under the name field is the same name as your tables, but this is not always the case. The best way to get the right table name is to click on the 3 dots, go to Advanced, Tools, and select Copy Set Name. That will give you the correct name in the correct case. So let's copy that and file it away. For this table, it is just accounts in lowercase. That's accounts with an S, even though it doesn't have an S here. Okay, so we have that. Now, let's get into PowerShell. So, the first thing we need to do is define our variables. These variables will be the values that we collected earlier. And this is how our values will be listed. We will have our tenant ID, our client secret, our scope, which will be our environment URL with a /default at the end, our token URL, which is login.microsoftonline.com / our tenant ID / OAuth2 v2.0 / token, and our DataVerse URL, which is our environment URL, but there is an API before the crm.dynamics.com. So that's leading domain.api.crm.dynamics.com /API/data /v9.2, and then our table name. Our table name will be the last entry. Our table is accounts that we'll be querying, but in your case, this will be the table name that you will be querying. Okay, so next we will obtain the OAuth token, and we do that with this line of code. Basically, it's an invoke REST method doing a post to a token URL, and then we define some variables in our body. You can pause and review this code. Once we get a response, the access token would actually be the response.access_token, and then we assign that to our access token variable. And we have already defined our database URL, which is our environment URL with our table name at the end. We've defined it earlier here, so I'm going to take this out. So next, we're going to retrieve the data from the DataVerse table, and we do that with this line of code. Basically, it is a invoke REST method using get, and we query our DataVerse URL, and we access it with a bearer token with our access token that we have already defined earlier. So you would go ahead and run that, and we would put that in our response to variable, and then to display that retrieved information, we would use this line of code, which is just the response to dot value, and we use a format table auto size. So I've already loaded my details in my variable. So if I just run this, you'll be able to see our accounts table data. So let's run that and move this up. So this is all the data that's in our accounts default accounts table. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our table data again. So if we go in our table, and say let's query this row of data with this account number. So I want to define this account number and query the row that has this account number of ABC28UU7. So let's go back to PowerShell and let's define our query. And our query structure would look like this. So in our filter query URL, we add a question mark, and then we define our filter to be equal to account number equals ABC28UU7. Okay, and you can see our account number is just the account number listed here. So we're going to retrieve this row of data. So now we need to construct our full query URL. And that will look like this. It's basically just our DataVerse URL / filter query. And we encapsulate that in quotes. And then we assign that to our query URL variable. Okay, so now we're going to query the table with this constructed query URL. And that will look like this. So we assign that to response 3, and it's invoke REST method using a get on our query URL, and we use our access token. So let me load my query URL, and then I'm going to run this. So now, to see the associated results, we would run this command. And we assign that to our record variable. It's response tree dot value and the first element in that array. So if I run that, and then let's just display the record. You can see all the associated data for that particular column, and you can see we have the address and the associated email. Associated email here. Telephone number. Now if we just wanted to show the particular telephone number, since it's in a record, we would just do record dot telephone 1. So if you just run that, we get the telephone number associated with that record. So that's how you can query a DataVerse table using PowerShell. This just scratches the surface in terms of what can be done, but you can imagine this can be integrated with a Power Automate desktop flow, and you can query your data from a desktop flow. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. This has been brought to you by AIP Solutions.